So keep on going with your silly dream by Piter on AO3. Read by Lily6645. This fic includes mentions of suicidal thoughts. That is your warning. Chapter 74. Rabid Yahoo Fans. Summary. All Might's first dinner with the Yahoo gang. What the Sigma? Since when does Izuku have a fan club? Their dinner had been quiet. Usually Ochako and Izuku would break the tense atmosphere brought on by Izuku's most recent stunt or injury, but that wasn't the issue today. Nope. All Might, in all his 7'2" frame, sat hunched beside Izuku as if 3 first years were about to jump him, which was false. Only 2 first years wanted to jump him. Okay, 2.5. Izuku was still on the fence. Sue him.
So, Yahoo has merchandise?
All Might finally spoke up, giving a weak grin.
Seems like you've really risen in popularity.
The green-haired teen smiled sheepishly. Yeah, I guess so. Ochako and Shinso think I'm a celebrity, but I'm really not. I just have a few fans.
You have merchandise and a Twitter update account,
Shinso stated flatly.
You've single-handedly brought the percentage of tourists in Musutafu up.
No, I didn't! Stop saying that! Izuku whined, taking a sip of his sweet tea. Rather than the normal cafe or ice cream place, they were at a slightly nicer restaurant. After research, this was the closest joint that had dietary-friendly meals for any stomach issue. Perfect for the man missing most of his digestive tract. He had seen the small smile on All Might Toshinori's face when he first saw the menu. So the teen saw it as a win, or he did, until the man had hardly ate because he was so nervous. Damn pro heroes and their stupid anxiety. Speaking of that, we should totally get Mr. Toshinori a hoodie. He can match with me and Shinso. Glancing over, Izuku could see the look of surprise on the older man's face. He almost felt bad about freaking him out. Almost.
Ah, there's no need, young Uraraka.
All Might waved her off gently. Face a deadpan, Shinso whipped out a third hoodie and threw it at All Might, who slipped it on wordlessly. Izuku would laugh if not for what was about to be asked. They always asked. The blonde chuckled nervously.
Ah, how did you know my shirt size?
Deku told me. Shinso!
Not my fault, you're a fanboy.
That was supposed to stay between us!
Now it's between us, Uraraka, and Mr. Toshinori.
Shinso took a bite of his sandwich, shrugging. Both All Might and Ochako turned to the side. Uraraka had choked on her drink, while All Might choked out blood. Yikes. It's not as weird as he's making it sound, I swear! It's just on your wiki page! The teen laughed, waving his arms like that did make it better. Of course, it only got them stares from the surrounding customers. Sufficiently embarrassed, Izuku let his head and tune out the other 3. At last, the silence was gone. He supposed, Hey! You 3! In the Yahoo hoodies! That's right! I'm talking to you! An agitated, grating voice cut above the chatter. Izuku peeked from under his short bangs. There was some blonde, middle-aged woman standing in front of their table, her hands resting on her hips, with her face screwed into a scowl. Can we help you, miss? Uraraka asked kindly, giving her a massive side-eye as she spoke. Yes, you can help me by taking off those hoodies immediately. You three don't have the right, only the fan club does. She fumed, foot tapping furiously against the ground. I bet you thought Yahoo was just some clothing brand. Well, technically, it is a chocolate milk brand, he mumbled, causing Shinzo to snort from across him. Well, if you are all so well versed, what's his full name? The muted Carmine, Ochako said easily, eyes set in a glare. Izuku swallowed, slouching in his chair. He forgot how competitive she could be. Due date! April 14th. Which heroes does he? Mirako and Eraserhead. The brunette and blonde woman glared at each other long enough for Izuku to spot the large group of whispering civilians behind her. Must be the rest of the fan club. The fan club for Yahoo. I guess you know your stuff, the woman admitted reluctantly. But watch your backs! This isn't the last you've seen of the Yahoo fan club! Milky Crew, roll out! Milky Crew. Izuku didn't usually mind fans, but he decided against claiming those freaks. What was... Shinzo trailed off, shaking his head and taking a sip of his Pepsi instead. Izuku pushed his hands deeper into his hoodie pockets, sighing. He had a Twitter update account. People asked for his autograph or a selfie. People came to Musutafu specifically for him. He had a merch stand, for goodness sake. Was Izuku seriously a celebrity? He sighed and turned left, adjusting his bandana and goggles. He was well accustomed to the sounds of the night, from crashing in alleys to mere drips. Gurgling and panting? Definitely not normal. Is everything all right down? Izuku stared blankly, stomach twisting and skin losing its color as he made eye contact. Here? A gurgle, but not a growl. Izuku slowly shifted forward, pausing to truly think about the odd situation he was stuck in. A vigilante approaching Anomu. What's the worst that could happen? That is the end of chapter 74. On to the next chapter. Chapter 75. I can't sleep or tame the freaky bird. Summary. Izuku almost gets killed by Anomu and then turns emo again. At this point in his life, Izuku thought he lost it a long time ago. He'd always had a few screws loose, even before the vigilante business. Lacking a dad and being bullied for most of his adolescence would do that. But now, he'd well and truly lost it. Shh, you're okay, he whispered, sliding a small plate of chicken towards the beaked Nomu. Once upon a time, he couldn't afford to waste that, but hey, thanks to the lucky wallet, Izuku was loaded. Maybe he should have reported the Nomu, inspected it, killed it, but no. He shuddered at the sharp teeth quickly grinding into the meat. And the plate. The teen tried not to imagine what those same teeth could do to his arm. Its head snapped up to Izuku, low growl in its throat. The vigilante in question flinched back with a wince. Warily enough, compared to the rest of the Nomu, Izuku had seen. This one was docile. No, docile wasn't the word. It just hadn't killed Izuku. Cautiously, he crept closer, even as the growling grew in volume. Yep, there was the problem. One of the specially designed nets, ones with extreme tensile strength and resistance against most elements, was evidently tangled around its left leg and arm. Based on the deep gashes, this Nomu didn't seem to have regeneration. Its size more than made up for it. It looked as buff as All Might and a whole head taller. He should walk away, report it to Racerhead. Scratch that, Izuku actually liked being not in jail. Izuku yelped as it strained forward, snipping at him before it lost balance and writhed against the ground. As the teen stared at it in all of its aggressive buff glory, he didn't feel scared. A little apprehensive, yes, but he felt bad. This had been a person at some point. He couldn't just leave it. Slowly, with one small movement, he approached. He crouched next to a leg, probably thicker than its torso, and began deftly untangled the net. Despite its initial thrashing and snarls, it stayed still until he finally freed it from the thick material. "There, you!" Izuku choked as one large, clawed hand wrapped around his torso, pinning him against the wall. Its face was so close, it swarmed with violence. All black eyes glaring into his, warm breath puffing out from its beak. The vigilante clenched his eyes shut, shrinking against the wall as its grip tightened. For a long, horrible moment, Izuku was sure it would eat him. Instead, it let out a snort before dropping the teen and scrambling off. The teen stared dumbly after it, placing a hand over his surely bruised chest. Jesus Christ. Izuku lied back on the hardwood floor, scrolling through old texts with Shinso and Ochako. Yes, texts, because All Might had brought him a whole damn phone when he heard Izuku didn't have one. The encounter between himself and the creature hadn't left his mind. Even as the week wore off from Monday to today, Friday, and the UA's school festival was properly announced. Apparently, Eri had been around the school to see the various projects for the festival, guided by 2 third years. Not Lemillion. Apparently he'd been busy helping All Might with something. Now, current time, it was the day of the festival. Izuku was curled on the floor and wished he was there. Normally, he was able to ignore the feeling in his gut, the one that was jealous of all his friends had their quirks, but sometimes he just had to mope. There was no way around it. He sighed and rolled one of the 6 remaining bullets in his hands. He wasn't sure why he'd pulled one out. Curiosity? Worry on when to use them, who to use them against. It didn't even weigh a pound, but it was the heaviest thing he'd ever held. He lowered it back into the floorboard with the matching set. A way to take the one thing Izuku had ever wanted, set in the same place as his most prized possessions. He ignored the urge to destroy the bullets. It was one of the cruelest things someone could do, removing a quirk. He'd seen the way criminals panicked at Eraserhead's quirk, and that was only temporary. It was as if you were losing a part of your soul. It was wrong, so wrong, but it was a means to an end. It wasn't ideal, but it would have to do. 6 bullets. Izuku tucked himself under his well-loved All Might blanket. If he imagined it hard enough, it still smelled of his mother's perfume. Nitroglycerin and crayons, not the cheap deodorant provided at the laundromat. He groaned loudly and tossed back over, lifting the slab of wood and tearing through the belongings hidden inside until his hand closed around the prize. He wondered if Bakugo still had this. Izuku Midoriya fell asleep with an All Might card held gently between his remaining fingertip and thumb of his left hand. That is the end of chapter 75 of So Keep On Going With Your Silly Dream by Piter on AO3. If you like this, please go support the original author. Link in the description below. If you want to get early access, I have a membership that you can get on YouTube. Don't worry if you don't want it. Anyway, hope you have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, kittens. Bye, heroes.